It is no crime to be ignorant of economies, which is, after all, a specialized discipline and one that most people consider to be a dismal science, but it is totally irresponsible to have a loud, vociferous opinion on economic subjects while remaining in the state of ignorance. Murray Rothbard. The super elites are planning a fundamental shift. Keep your friends and family aware. Please like, subscribe, share these videos.
I used to say the future is digital until I realized the future has arrived. And
the future is here. Convergence of technology working together for an automated and efficient network, opening the door for new innovations such as the Internet of Things, the Internet of Value, AI, distributed ledgers. Technology is rapidly updating and crypto assets are part of this paradigm shift.
All I know is the amount of debt around the world, but also in the U.S., is staggering. And unless you're a proponent of MMT, which argues that money doesn't matter, it's Bernie Sanders' school of economics, which is fine. Like that, maybe he's right. I don't think he is. So unless you argue money truly just doesn't matter, just a number on a spreadsheet, at some point debt needs to be paid back, and the only way for that to happen is for massive inflation at this point, because the debt levels around the world are just too large for it to be paid back if inflation were to be zero or even a low single-digit number. So because of that, we know inflation has to come. Serious inflation has to come in the next decade and a half. And so that to me makes things like gold and cryptocurrencies like absolutely compelling for anybody that has any savings at all and wants to preserve the purchasing power of that money. They either need to buy hard assets or they need to buy real money with it.
The governments of the world have lived beyond their means. The debt is at atrocious levels, and it's getting to a point where we need to pay the piper. This is impossible. What are they going to do? They're going to reset and weasel out of the debt.
that includes keeping a careful watch on risks presented by elevated debt. We expect 2021 debt levels to go up significantly to around 125% of GDP in advanced economies, 65% of GDP in emerging markets, and 50% of GDP in low-income countries. The fund is providing debt relief to its poorest members, and with the World Bank, we support extension by the G20 of the debt service suspension initiative. Beyond this, where debt is unsustainable, it should be restructured without delay.
The poorest nations are at a point where they can't pay the minimum amount. The IMF is stepping in and they're going to restructure the debt. That is code for reset the debt. How are they going to do this? They certainly have a plan for digital currencies. Are they going to reset to precious metals or digital currencies, or both?
To cross-border payments and to lay out a roadmap for addressing those various obstacles. But one piece of that is the technological platform, and certainly either stable coins or central bank digital currencies, or some mix of the two, could be part of the solution. Certainly not the whole solution, because there are a number of issues that have to be addressed, including the sort of alignment of regulatory requirements. But that could be part of the process of making cross-border payments more efficient.
Cross-border payments have the most inefficiencies. This is the most straightforward area to implement crypto assets. When we eliminate Nostro and Vostro accounts, we can add trillions back into the economy. By utilizing crypto assets, we eliminate the need for Nostro and Vostro. This enables them to extend the time frame of the Great Reset.
Now, fixing these shortcomings will require a concerted and coordinated global effort involving a variety of public and private actors.
The elites don't create, they adopt. They will extend their hands to the private sector to get them out of the mess that they have created.
And yes, we can be and we must be on the forefront of research and policy development. So the Fed has been working for a number of years to better understand the opportunities and risks presented by technological innovation. We're taking a multidisciplinary approach to these issues, bringing together economists, policy analysts, technologists, lawyers, and others to tackle the subject from multiple angles. We've been able to harness the strength of the Federal Reserve System with our 12 reserve banks and the Board of Governors to help us gain a more well-rounded view of the topic. So, for example, to further our understanding of the capabilities and limitations of different technologies and platforms, we've been engaged in a number of research projects. One set of experiments is being carried out at the Board of Governors here in Washington, D.C. Complementary efforts are also now underway, for example, through the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, which, in collaboration with researchers at MIT, is developing a hypothetical central bank digital currency.
They're not hiding this. Jerome is telling you that they're moving forward with digital currencies. They have gathered the private sector and the smartest minds in the world to work on this solution. As Kristina has stated, the future has arrived.
Are cryptocurrencies a national security threat? I think a lot of people in government, sort of like career bureaucrats, actually spend time thinking about this, less so politicians. And I think that battle is probably waging inside of government. Is it a national security threat because it is a challenge to the dollar? That argument, I think, plays out in the background, but I think it ultimately affects policy. And I could be wrong on this. I'm speculating, but it seems obvious to me is the same way that we must have inflation to pay off the debt. I think governments, including the U.S., are looking at cryptocurrencies with some skepticism. And part of the proof of that, again, or indirect evidence, is how they handled the whole Libra debacle with Facebook. I mean, they tore that project apart, and you have to wonder why, right?
They planned a reset, and big tech, Facebook, was muscling into the cryptosphere. A new coin doesn't bring attention unless the company the size of Facebook is backing it. The world's focus was on crypto when Facebook announced Libra. They tore it apart to bring the focus away. Don't look here, look here.
Today, we face a new Bretton Woods moment. A pandemic that has already cost more than 1 million lives. An economic calamity that will make the world economy 4.4% smaller this year and strip an estimated 11 trillion of output by next year.
Bretton Woods is where the world decided to make the US dollar the world reserve currency and to back it by gold. Why would you compare Bretton Woods to the virus? That doesn't make much sense unless they were planning a reset, unless they were about to fundamentally change the system. Inflation is not stimulus. Technology is stimulus for our economy. Technology has the potential to eliminate the inefficiencies of our old economy. Trade, sales, shipping, payments, everything gets an update.
This is a type of issue that we need to go slow because we are in a hurry. And precisely we need to go slow to avoid mistakes. And we have to realize that when we deal with payments, electronic payments, there is no room for mistake. I mean, if I want to send payments from Switzerland to Mexico, I would not tolerate a mistake, and nobody should tolerate a mistake. And all what can go wrong is there are many dimensions. So the challenge is huge, and therefore the effort behind being successful will be huge, and therefore we need to add forces with the broad membership of the fund, with the membership of the BIS, in particular the concentration of central banks. I think that we can certainly put a very solid team together to make this happen. The FSB has been, and the G20 has been, a very important catalyzer already. So there is room for everybody to collaborate in this huge endeavor.
And this is why Libra was crushed from the get-go. Governments, central banks, the private sector, the world is working on this solution. Facebook had the money to implement a solution on the global scale, and that was a problem.
It's really to look at it more broadly as digital currencies first, and then as central bank issued digital currencies. So let's take a step back and then look more broadly at digital currencies, of which central bank digital currencies is a subset. And over here, there are very clear benefits. So one, ability to transact directly with each other. That could make payments, cross-border payments in particular, a lot more efficient. Better models of connectivity that could enable much better integration between the business processes and the payments itself, which brings about efficiency on a whole new level. And then there's programmability of money that could create new ways of interactions, new and safer ways to transact.
Look broadly at digital currencies. CBDCs, or central bank digital currencies, are part of a bigger picture called the Internet of Value, where money can become autonomous, programmable, smart contracts. CBDCs are going to interact with blockchain networks and other crypto assets. They want innovation. It opens up new markets and creates efficiencies in the old markets.
To improve cross-border payments with huge benefits, especially for many of the world's poorest people. And there is a pressing need to do so.
The pressing need is the debt. The poorest nations can't pay their bill, and they need to stimulate the economy so GDP can start matching the minimum payment. They're acting as if this was for the good of humanity. It's because they don't have a choice.
We are the bank of the central banks, and the fact that the board decided to launch the BIS Innovation Hub is an expression of the conviction of central banks of the importance of financial innovation. Right now we have 3 innovation centers: Singapore, Hong Kong, Basel, and we are going to open 5 more with the partnership of DCB, with the Swedish Nordic central banks, with the Bank of England, Bank of Canada, and a special partnership with the Federal Reserve System.
The US is on board. They're testing CBDCs, understand just how small of a market cap crypto is. Crypto assets will work in synergy to CBDCs. The Internet of Values base layer is being tested. Technology moves very quickly.
We can do better than build back the pre-pandemic world. We can build forward to a world that is more resilient, sustainable, and inclusive. We must seize this new Bretton Woods moment.
Seize the new Bretton Woods moment by updating and evolving the technology. That will give them even more control and prevent a liquidity crisis for the next time.
Blockchains and cryptocurrencies clearly are a killer app for that is money. I mean, Bitcoin is money, in my opinion, and it is more money than any previous money. It is more gold-like than gold itself. And so I think that nobody would argue that it is. Nobody, even the Department of Justice, wouldn't argue that it isn't money. In fact, our governments are now concerned that it's such good money that it's being used for nefarious purposes in some cases. So the real question is, what else is it good for? And I think that it's good for a lot of things. Now, one thing it's good for is cross-border transactions. Now, that's still money, but I think Ripple, with some of the software you've built, has proven out that like cryptocurrencies are like particularly useful when you want to get money from one person to another in different countries. You can avoid a lot of the just extravagant fees that have historically been involved in that. But again, we're still talking about money.
Crypto assets are settlement systems, the most advanced, fastest, cheapest settlement systems that technology has to offer. Crypto assets are outside of the fiat system. In these crisis situations, confidence can be lost. Banks can freeze everyone's assets. They freeze transactions. They freeze everything. Jim Rickards has called this ICE 9. A crypto asset settlement system would still operate under these circumstances.
The whole world moving in this direction together. In other words, interoperability, common standards, consistent legal framework. What role do you see for institutions like yours and like mine to make sure that we make progress in a way that brings the world together?
The payment platforms, the infrastructure to facilitate real-time payments domestically are updated. Digitization took hold. The simplest and easiest solutions to understand is cross-border payments. Trustless assets that don't have $30 trillion worth of debt on its back. that settle around the world instantly without the need of Nostro and Vostro accounts.
Question, but yeah, I'm concerned. The macro picture of the world right now is deeply concerning to me. But again, I was deeply concerned in 2008, and we kind of skated through it. Some people argue we just put the problem off a decade, and that's what I would argue as well, and that the problem is now much bigger than it used to be. So,
out of the ashes of the 2008 financial crisis, Bitcoin was born. We are in 2020, and this technology is going to allow the world to skate through it yet again.
I guess the key thing there is that the world is changing so quickly that if we want to have something that's actually viable and could be launched in a suitable time frame, we need to be moving pretty quickly and deliberately to develop something. And so we've actually been exploring not just the sort of theoretical question of, well, would it be a good thing, but actually exploring the specifics of, well, exactly how would it be designed, what would it look like, how would we organize it, the provision. Now, of course, if we were to issue a central bank digital currency, then there are a number of important risks that would have to be dealt with as well. And one of them is,
take a look around you. The factories that created your computer, keyboard, the desk, your house, your city, roads, schools are results from the banks loaning money. They're the invisible hand that guides the evolution of man. We are watching them push for digital currencies. You can either resist change or accept change, but you're not going to escape the world that they have created.
We must improve existing systems, and we must explore new ones, potentially taking advantage of central bank digital currencies.
The new system awaits. It is easy to be conspicuously compassionate if others are being forced to pay the cost. Murray Rothbard. These videos take time and energy to create. If you enjoy my work, please consider joining my Patreon. If you think the system can be saved, there are some real incentives for owning IRAs. iTrust Capital offers IRAs in your favorite crypto assets and precious metals. My referral link is in the description.